Welcome students. I hope you are doing well and you are understanding all the topics which I have discussed in my last lectures. And this is my lecture number 8, and today I will start a new topic, that is electrostatic potential energy of dipole in an external field. And besides this, I will discuss one more introductory topic, the base concept of capacitor, and these topics are very much important to understand the basic concept of capacitor. So it will be better for you to note down these topics one by one. First one is electrostatic potential energy of dipole in an external field. This is related to the last topic, last lecture. Afterward, electrostatic of conductor. This one is the new topic, basic concept of capacitor. Next one is electrostatic shielding, then basic concept of capacitor. Please note down these topics, and then I will start my first topics today, that is electrostatic potential energy of dipole. Okay. Okay. Now start with this first topic, electrostatic potential energy of dipole. If you remember, in my last lecture I have discussed that potential energy of different system, 2 charge system, 3 charge system, as well as you can take multiple charge system in an external field and without external field. So that were the two cases which I have discussed earlier. So this topic is related to the same previous cases. And if you know the basic steps of that topic, I have discussed that we have to consider the situation of electric field. So this is an electric field. Can you tell me whether this electric field is uniform or non-uniform? Because I told it that each and every point are interrelated. This is uniform electric field. Non-uniform electric field, how can you represent that kind of electric field? With the non-parallel lines, and lines are not parallel to each other, first of all, and second case that the lines are not equidistant to each other. So that kind of lines, electric field lines, represent the non-uniform electric field. So here in your syllabus only the uniform electric fields are mentioned, so that is why you have to consider only the parallel and equidistant line. So this is an external field, and now that this one is the infinity point. So if you remember, I discussed a case like charges are bringing from the infinity point to the electric field point, and that work done is corresponding to the potential energy corresponding to that charges present inside the field. So here we will do the same step, but we have to consider the case of dipole. So we have two methods to understand this topic. First method is what? That minus charge, minus q charge and plus q charge are present in infinity point. You know that dipole is what? It is the system of two equal and opposite charge placed at a very small length or distance. That length is called dipole length. So here I have taken the case that at this point, when the charges are present at infinity, they are not making any dipole. They are only the charges, individual charges that are present in infinity. So what we can do? We can bring this charge from infinity to a point in an electric field. So here this charge, minus q charge, it may come at some point, let it be A, and this one is minus q charge. Okay, and now the plus q charge can bring from infinity to any point in an external field, and this charge is coming at some other position, let it be B. The distance traveled by charge 1 is R1, distance traveled by charge 2 is R2. Again, here you have to take the dotted lines which represent that infinite distance. So these charges are moving from infinite distance to point in the electric field. So here these are the A and B point. Here this is the plus q charge. And now these two charges, because of the smaller distance between them and they are equal and opposite to each other, so these two charges will form a dipole. So this one is a dipole. Okay, this is a dipole, and this dipole is making some angle with the electric field. initial angle is, you can take any angle. You can assume the initial angle as 0 as well. You can assume that initial angle is theta naught, or you can assume any case, theta 1 or so on. So here this is first case, first method to bring these charged particle from infinity to a point in an electric field. This is the first case. Now second case or second method which we can adopt to bring this dipole. Now we are assuming it as a dipole. So these are the electric field lines, and dipole is initially present at infinity. This is a dipole, minus q plus q placed at a small distance. This system is present at infinity and we are bringing this system towards the electric field. So here let the case that to bring this system into the electric field, that the work done over the system is W. This whole system is coming from here, infinity, and to a position here AB in the electric field E. Okay, and let the initial angle make by this system, that is dipole, from the electric field, that is theta naught. Okay, so this is the case, initial angle is theta naught, and afterward it can be moved to get the equilibrium condition. It can move up to an angle theta, up to an angle theta to get the equilibrium. Though this is not the equilibrium condition, we will discuss these cases later on after deriving the final formula for electrostatic potential energy of dipole. So these are the cases, and in both cases, in both method, you will get the same result. So it will be better for you to use the second method, that the whole dipole is brought from infinity to any position in the electric field. Okay, this is AB position, and now the AB position is shifted to A dash and B dash position to get the equilibrium. It can rotate. You know that whenever any body comes into the effect of any field, any kind of field, then it make itself that in the equilibrium position by itself, by its own energy. So that is the required condition. Now you can take very simple case. If you want to keep this pen here, this marker here, in this manner, you can place this marker easily in this manner over the table. Let there is a table below this marker and you have kept this marker over this table. So this is the equilibrium position. Initially you have kept this marker in the horizontal position over the table. Now you can assume the case we are placing this marker over the table in this position, in the vertical position. What will happen? It will fallen down, or it will fallen down, or it will come to the horizontal position over the table. So that means what? Each and every body needs equilibrium on any surface or on any field. So that is the situation of dipole too, that whenever the dipole is brought from infinity to a point in the field, then that amount of work done is stored in the form of potential energy, and that potential energy, with that potential energy, it can rotate. It can be moved to get the equilibrium position in the electric field. So that are the cases. Here we have assumed that this dipole is rotated by an angle theta. I hope the initial situations are clear to you, that initially the dipole is entering in the field at an angle theta naught, and afterward to get the equilibrium position, the dipole rotate up to the angle of theta here. Okay, so these are the cases. Afterward start the derivation. Now you know that whatever work done over the system, or here in this case we are taking it as a dipole, work done over a dipole, that should be equivalent to the energy stored inside the dipole, and that is corresponding to the potential energy. So we can write down the work done over the dipole to bring it from infinity to a point to the position AB in the electric field. So that work done is equal to, that should be what? F dot dr. That should be this one. So this formula, this situation can be applied to the method number 1. I told two methods to bring this charge body in the field. First method was that these two charges are individual charges and these are not forming the dipole which are present at infinity. When they enters into the field, then they form dipole. So this formula is applicable to that method, the method number 1, first method. Here we are considering the second method, when the whole dipole initially present at infinity, that is brought in the electric field, uniform electric field at an angle theta naught. So here there is a displacement which is rotatory. Here the displacement is corresponding to angle. So whenever displacement is corresponding to angle, then we need to consider the case of work done corresponding to rotatory motion. And if you know from class 11th, if you know the rotation chapter, rigid body motion chapter, then you may assume the case, you may apply the formula, that is work is equal to tau, which is related to rotation of a body, torque, tau dot d theta. Work is a scalar quantity, tau is torque, is a vector quantity, d theta is the displacement. These are the comparable quantity. If you heard in class 11 too, we always compare the linear quantity, linear physical quantity to the rotational physical quantity. So force is the linear equivalent of torque in the rotational motion here, and dr is the displacement in linear motion, and d theta is the angular displacement in rotational motion. So we will consider the case of rotational motion. Now W is equal to tau dot d theta, dot is the angle between the two. Okay. Now torque is acting, you remember this point, the torque is acting along with the rotatory motion, and it is across with the axis of rotation. So that is why we will consider the case here, W, this is the small amount of work, so we can take it as the dW. So W is equal to what? Integration of dW. Now integration of dW, we can note down this formula here as tau d theta, tau dot d theta, and the initial limit is what? Theta naught, the final limit is theta. So we can consider this case. Okay. Now what is the formula for tau? From chapter number 1, you know that tau is equal to PE sine theta. This is the formula. And here this dot product in between the tau and the angular displacement, it should be 0. That means we will apply the case cos 0, which is equal to 1. So we can remove this dot sign by the value of cos theta as cos 0. How this cos 0 is coming? Again I am repeating the point that tau is the torque which is across the axis of rotation, and angular displacement is also again corresponding to the axis of rotation. How much axis of rotation rotate? So in accordance with that only the body will rotate. So here the angle between the two should be 0, and cos 0 is equal to 1. So we will put the value of tau here in this formula and remove this dot sign. Then we will get the result as PE sine theta d theta. Afterward, the limit theta naught to theta. Then PE you can take out, only the sine theta is the integral part. Now the integration of sine theta is minus of cos theta. Remember this thing, integration of sine theta is minus of cos theta. You can apply the limit theta naught to theta. Then you will get the result as, here I am writing this next step here, W is equal to minus PE, minus you have taken out, afterward cos theta minus of cos theta naught. Or initially you can keep it in this manner, PE minus sign you can take out, so it will become plus and it will come as cos theta naught minus cos theta. So this one is the formula for work, and this formula is only the corresponding to the formula of potential energy, because whatever work done over the system, that is converted into the potential energy of system. So here we will write W is equal to U, which is equal to PE cos theta naught minus of cos theta. Okay, this one is the formula for potential energy of system. Afterward, what will we do? We will take the case here. Case number 1. If the cos theta naught is equal to 0, cos 0, we can write it as cos 0, means what? The dipole is entering into the field parallel to that, so that this dipole moment is parallel to the field. So that is the first case. Theta naught is 0 here, cos 0, cos theta naught is cos 0. That means what? Initially we are taking the case that dipole is entering into the field in such a manner that P, which is the dipole moment, is parallel to applied electric field. Okay, so if this one is the case, then cos 0 is equal to 1. Here this one is the situation, electric field, and the dipole is entering in this manner. The minus q charge is here and plus q charge is here. Electric field is from left to right and dipole moment is again from left to right, from minus charge to plus charge. So they are parallel to each other. So that means what? Theta naught is cos 0, which is equal to 1. So if we will put this value here in this formula, then we will get the result as PE cos 0 is 1, so 1 minus of cos theta. Okay, this one is the first case. Afterward, take another case, case number 2. So case number 2 is cos theta naught is equal to cos 90 and this is equal to 0. Cos 90 value is 0. So what does it mean? The dipole is entering into the field is in this manner. This one is a field and dipole is entering here. Minus q charge. This is plus q charge, this is minus q charge, electric field, minus q, that dipole moment is from minus q to plus q. So P and electric field are making an angle 90 degree. So here it is cos 90 is 0. If we will put this value here in this formula, then we will get the case as this is 0 and it will come as minus PE cos theta. This one is one more formula related to electric field. Generally the dipole enters into the field in this manner. So this one is the sure case which we will get here if the dipole is entering at the perpendicular axis of electric field. So U is equal to minus PE cos theta. Now in this case we can take the sub cases, like here in the case 2, the sub case A, we can take the condition if the theta value here, when the dipole will rotate to get the equilibrium in the electric field, what will happen? The theta in one case, it may be either 0. If the theta is 0, that means what? Cos 0 is 1. That means U is negative. Potential energy of dipole is negative. And if the potential energy of dipole is negative, then this is the case of equilibrium. The system is in equilibrium. That means the dipole here in this case is in equilibrium. So here in this case we can say this one is electric field E and the dipole should remain in this situation minus q and plus q, so that the angle between the P and electric field should be 0 degree. So here if the angle is 0, so it is the condition of equilibrium because the potential energy is with the minus sign. So remember this, it may be asked in the examination and it was asked in various examination earlier, that the case for equilibrium of any system, or here in the case of dipole, the potential energy should be negative. If the potential energy is coming negative, that means the system is in equilibrium. Okay, so if it is asked how you get the system as in equilibrium, is in equilibrium condition, you will go through only the situation that potential energy should be negative. Here take the another case, the B case, under the case number 2, that if theta is 180 degree, what will happen and what is the physical situation there. You are putting the value here in this formula, in the case number 2 formula, u is equal to minus pe cos theta, and cos 180 is minus 1, so that minus and this minus will become plus, and you will get the potential energy as plus. If the potential energy is positive, it is the sure case that it is unequilibrium condition. You may note it down. U is positive, that means unequilibrium condition, the system is unstable, and if U is negative, then the system is stable. The negative value of U is for stable equilibrium, and the positive value of U is unstable equilibrium condition. So that we can draw this situation here. This one is electric field, and the dipole is set in this position, plus Q and minus Q. Here the electric field is in this direction, and the dipole moment here from negative to positive, so both are anti-parallel to each other. Means what? Angle is 180 degree, and this is the unstable equilibrium. That means what? If you place the dipole here in the electric field in this situation, that positive charge is in the left side and negative charge is in the right side, and the electric field is from left to right, then it is sure that the dipole will twist it by itself. It will rotate by itself to the angle 180 degree, and it will be set into the equilibrium condition. It will rotate. The similar is the case that if you compress any spring from its normal position, what will happen? The spring gain its original shape when you remove the applying force. So that means what? If we are applying force, then till that condition only the dipole remains in this electric field, in the situation where the P and E are anti-parallel to each other. But when we remove the deforming force or applied force, then what will happen? The dipole will rotate and it will set into this position. This is the equilibrium position or stable position. Remember the situation. So whenever you are drawing any figure, remember this, that figure should be correct one. What about the stable equilibrium condition and what about the unstable equilibrium condition? So these are the two cases. You can note down these cases. These are very important to find out the condition of potential energy of dipole in an electric field. Okay. Okay, now we will discuss next case when the dipole are placed in an electric field by the method number 1. What will happen if the two charges are present at infinity, minus Q and plus Q? This is the method number 1. I told you that we can solve the case by two methods. So this is method number 2. The minus Q charge and plus Q charge are present at infinity, and these two charges are entering into the field one by one, and when it enters into the field, then they are forming a dipole. Initially they are not forming any dipole, they are individual independent charges, but when they enter into the field, they form a dipole inside the electric field. So if we will take the case method number 1, earlier we have discussed method number 2. This is method number 1. So this minus Q charge will enter into the field, and let the distance traveled by the charge is R1. Plus Q charge enters into the field. This is A position, B position, and the distance traveled by plus Q charges R2. Then we can write down the potential energy in this form. U is equal to what? First of all, it is equivalent to W. First of all, the work done. I am taking the method which I have discussed earlier in my last lecture number 7, that we have to consider the different work done on different charges which are moving from infinity to a point in the electric field. So first case is what? That minus q charge is moving from infinity to a point in the electric field. So corresponding work is W1. Second work is the plus q charge. Here this is W1, this one is W2. So plus q charge is brought up from infinity to a point B in the electric field. So corresponding work is W2. And the third work is what? It is W12. Due to the interaction of these two charges, the corresponding work will come as W12. Okay. So there are overall 3 terms. You can go through the topic that was given in my lecture number 7, and then you can come out here in this topic. You can easily understand how these terms are that can be written here in the right hand side to get the full work corresponding to a dipole in an external field. So W1 is equal to what? It should be, it is related to minus q charge. So you know that work is a scalar quantity and we need to put the sign of charge if we are taking any scalar quantity. I told it earlier. So here minus q into V1 R1. V1 R1, V1 is the potential difference or potential, because we are taking the case of the charges are brought from infinity to a point in the field. So it is electric potential. If the charges are brought up inside the field from one point to other, then it is potential difference. So here the case is from infinity to a point, so it should be electric potential. So this formula is related to the initial formula, V is equal to W by Q or U by Q. Q naught we can take the term. So here that is the formula which I have used here in place of W1. It is similar to the method we have adopted in my last lecture for the potential energy of system of charges. So here it will be minus Q into V. Here W should be equal to Q into V. So Q charge is minus Q and V is the potential corresponding to charge number 1, that is minus Q. Again next case, for W2 it is plus Q charge, we will take the sign plus and Q and V2 into R2. The distance travelled by the charge plus Q from infinity to a point B. And afterward W12 is what? It is the interaction due to the two charges, and that is the basic formula. You have solved that derivation. The derivation steps, the last formula is what? 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 over R. So here we will write it as plus Q minus Q over R12, and this R12 is equal to the distance between the plus charge and minus charge in the field. As I told here in this method, that initially they are not forming any dipole, but when they enters into the field they are forming a dipole. So as we have taken the case, the dipole length is what? It is 2L. So that is why in place of R12, this is R12 distance and it should be equal to dipole length. So R12, in place of R12 I am putting here as dipole length, which is equal to 2L. It is related to the formula that U is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 over R. So here we can simplify the steps. Minus we can take here, common term we can take out, like Q we can take out, V2 R2 minus of V1 R1, bracket close. Afterward this plus minus become minus, minus of 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q square over 2L. So this one is the potential energy we will get by method number 1. Okay, I think that it is clear to you. And now this step, this one, this is corresponding to the U value which we have solved in the method number 2. That was the method number 2 which I have discussed earlier. So U is equal to minus PE cos theta. If we have taken that theta naught is equal to 90 degree, then the formula is what? U is equal to minus PE cos theta, and we will place this formula in place of this first term. This is the overall first term and this one is the second term. So in place of first term we can put down the formula minus PE cos theta. So this is one situation here. Okay, so this is the method number 2 which we can adopt to solve the case of potential energy of dipole in an external field. So I hope these two methods are clear to you, and if you have any query you can ask question related to that in my comment box. Okay, now we will start our next topic, electrostatics of conductor. Okay, so to understand this topic we have to go in unit number 1, and I want to remind you the Gauss law application number 3. That application was related to find out the electric field due to a spherically charged conductor. We have taken the case of hollow conductor. Here we will take the same case. This is a hollow conductor. So that conductor, because it is mentioned in the topic, so we must need to go through that topic, that what was the result of Gauss theorem when we have solved the application number 3, that electric field at a point over the spherical charge conductor, electric field inside a point of a spherical charge conductor, and outside the point of a spherical charge conductor. That was the 3 cases here. This is spherical charge conductor, point number 1 P1 outside the conductor at P1 and inside the point. This one is at P2 and this is P3. This is the center of conductor. So that were the 3 cases. In the first case we have got the result, first and second case we have got the result as electric field is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught. Q is the source charge. Here the source charge is placed. Source charge means what? All the charges are present over the surface and the result is same as the electric field due to point charge. So that is why the whole surface charge can be assumed to be situated at the center of this sphere. I have discussed this case earlier too. You can go through that topic, Gauss law and their application. So here Q over that point is, if the P1 point is situated at R1 distance, so it will be R1 square. So that was the result. In the second case, if the radius of a sphere is R, then you got the result 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by R square. Here R is the radius of a spherical conductor, and at this is the point P1, this one is the electric field at point P2. Now the third case, the electric field result has come as 0. So this result we need to take here for the case of conductor. I hope now this is clear to you. I hope you that remember the topic which I have discussed in Gauss theorem. So here we will take the case electric field inside a conductor is 0. This is very important point. So remember this main tips, that electric field inside a conductor is 0. So first point is electric field inside a conductor is always 0. Remember this point. This is the basic concept of conductor, always 0. And this we have proved in Gauss theorem. So application of Gauss theorem. So no need to worry about the proof. Here we need to write it as a point. Second, electric field at the surface of conductor is non-zero and perpendicular to to the surface. Always it is the case that electric field must be perpendicular, and this also we have proved in Gauss theorem. This one is a conductor, and if you will take the small portion, surface portion of this spherical conductor, so you can see here that electric field is always normal to the that spherical surface. Here this one is the direction of electric field. Otherwise whenever we will apply the Gauss theorem, the result of electric field will come as 0. You know that E dot ds, that is the flux, that should be equal to Q by epsilon naught. So dot indicates that this left hand side will be non-zero only in the condition when the dot, that means the angle between the electric field and normal area vector, that should be 0. Cos 0 is 1. If cos 0 is not 1, here in this case, what will happen, that this left hand side result will be 0. Like cos 90 case, it will be 0. So there will be no flux in this situation. So we have to consider this case. And this one you can see here, this is the normal unit vector, area vector, normal area vector here in the direction of electric field. So that is why the cos theta term here should be equal to cos 0, which is equal to 1. So this electric field should be perpendicular to the surface, that means parallel to the normal area vector. Remember the two condition, again I am repeating, that electric field is perpendicular to the surface, that means electric field is parallel to the normal area vector. Okay, so here this should be non-zero and it should be perpendicular to the surface. सरफेस पे इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड की वैल्यू 0 नहीं होती है, बट इनसाइड द कंडक्टर द इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड वैल्यू इज ऑलवेज 0. So this is the second point, important concept of conductor. Now the third point, because the electric field inside the conductor is 0, so that is why electric potential inside the conductor is constant. From which basic concept I am telling this point, electric potential inside the conductor at all point, that should be constant. That means if we are taking this conductor body, that electric field inside at any point inside the conductor, that should be 0. There is no electric field inside this conductor. So these are various points. So here the potential at one point should be equal to potential at second point, potential at third point, and so on. That means what? All the potentials are same inside the conductor body, and we are saying on the basis of mathematical result, mathematical proof of this basic concept, and that is what? You know that electric field is equal to potential gradient del dot V. I told it in simplified form, we write it as minus of dV by dx. This is electric field. So if inside the conductor electric field is 0, E is equal to 0. So what is the result of V? What should be the value of V? This is the derivative of V. D by dx of any value should be equal to 0 only in the situation when that value is constant. That means what? V here is constant. Remember this point. I am telling it the basic concept of differential. dC by dx is equal to 0. Here C is constant. This is one basic formula for differential equation. So here we are differentiating the term C and we are getting the result 0 because the C is a constant. So similar is the case here. The V value should be constant to get the left hand side 0. So that is why this third point is interrelated with the first point. Okay. Now come to the next case. Fourth point, that work done to move a charge from one point to other inside a conductor is that should be 0. And it is also very important point, because this is asked as a proof. This question may be asked in 1 point or 2 point, 1 number or 2 number, in objective type question, or in 1 marks question, or in 2 marks question too. So here I will prove the point number 4. Work done to move a charge from one point to other point inside a conductor is 0. So here is a proof. A point and B point, these are the 2 points, and the charge Q naught, let a charge Q naught we have placed inside the conductor, and this charge Q naught is moving from A point to B point inside this conductor. So you know here inside the conductor electric field is 0 and V is constant. Remember these the previous points which are required here. So we know that work is equal to F dot dx. That is the formula. Okay, dot product. Now you know for the electrical case we will place it as force is equal to charge multiplied by electric field, and that is equal to 0. Now Q E dot dx, from here only we can find out the result. So here Q and E value is 0, so we will get the result, this result as 0. So W is here is equal to 0. Or we can take another proof. So you know that W is equal to what? dV by Q naught. Work done is equal to potential difference between the 2 points where the charge body is moving divided by the charge. This is the formula for work done. So as we know V is equal to constant. So if V is constant, then dV is equal to, the change in potential is equal to 0. The potential at A point and potential at B point, you can write down the intermediate steps here, that dV is equal to what? VB minus of VA divided by Q naught, and because VA and VB both are same, so that is why the minus result will come as 0. So we will get W is equal to 0. So we can prove this result from any of the method. The last you will get only that work done is 0. So that means what? It is very interesting thing physically, that what we can do practically, we can move any charge from one place to other place inside a conductor body without doing any work. That means we don't need to do work and that charge body is moving. So what does it mean? It is very different from the Newton's hypothesis. Newton's law states that a body can move from one place to other place if it is initially at rest only by applying the force, but here the body is moving without application of force or electric field or potential difference. So that is the very important condition which we have concluded here, that work done to replace a charged body inside a conductor, that should be 0. Okay, so note down this point, it is very important. Now the fifth point we can take here. Fifth point, that the net charge inside a conductor is 0. Every time you are getting only one word, that 0, 0 and 0, all that. So here net charge inside a conductor is 0. How it is possible? This one is a conductor, and if the charges are present here, various charges are present here inside the conductor body. So what will happen, that because these are in the form of atoms only, okay, and these atoms are electrically neutral, there is no free charge here. Free charges are present at the surface only. Here at the surface all the free charges are present because they are now in the effect of external field. They can come in the effect of external field. So all the charges are present at the surface. No, the net value of charge here, individual charges are present. Here I have mentioned a net charge inside the conductor. Individual charges are present here, q1, q2, q3 and so on. So but the net charge value here, it will come as 0. So that is the case, and we can prove it. How we can prove it? By the Gauss theorem. You know, by the Gauss theorem, electric field that is equal to 0. We are taking the reverse case, as we have taken the case in application number 3 of Gauss theorem, that electric field due to spherical charge conductor. Initially we have considered the case that all the charges are present at the surface and no charges are present inside the surface. So here we are taking the reverse case. E is equal to 0, and you know, by Gauss theorem, electric flux phi is equal to what? Closed integral E dot ds. Okay, and which is equal to q divided by epsilon naught. As the left hand side term becomes 0, it is mentioned here that electric field is 0, so overall product will come as 0, and this is equal to q by epsilon naught. We are talking only the case of inside the conductor, not the outside the conductor or at the surface of conductor. So epsilon naught cannot be 0. We will get it as q is equal to 0. That means inside the conductor the net charge is 0, though the individual charges are present inside the conductor. So this is again a very important point, and this will be useful in further topics. So hope you understand this topic. Now these are the 5 points, you can note it down. Now we will discuss the next case, that is electrostatic shielding. It is again related to the previous topic, that is electrostatic of conductor. This was only the electrostatic of conductor, and now electrostatic shielding. Shielding, you know, that cover up, to cover a body to protect it. Okay, that is related to shielding, the basic term, practical terminology. So here electrostatic shielding is related to the case of conductor only. We know that if we are taking a spherical conductor or any closed conductor, then inside that conductor electric field should be equal to 0. This is the basic case. So what we can do, I have drawn this figure in 2 dimension. The board is here, y-axis and x-axis. So this board is 2-dimensional body, and we have to assume the case of 3-dimensional body. So what we can do, I am just trying to make it in the 3-dimensional structure. You can see here, if you will see this conical shape structure, so this one is the center point. So this conical shape structure is cut from this overall contour. This is called contour. Mathematically, one word is there, that is called contour. That contour is useful and to identify the different section of a whole body. So here this is a spherical conductor, and we have taken out a contour of this one, and this contour is now eject out from this conductor body. Okay, so why we are doing these kind of thing, that we can make a hole here in the spherical shape, and we can replace, we can place any electrical equipment by this hole. We can keep this electrical instrument inside this conductor by making a whole conical shape structure, and then we can cover up this cavity. This is a cavity now, and we can cover up this cavity by the same portion of the spherical conductor, and now this electrical equipment is safe here. Why it is safe? It is an electrical equipment, and it may get charge, it may lose charge, but if we place this electrical equipment inside the conductor body, then we know that inside the conductor the electric field is 0, E is equal to 0, Q is equal to 0. That means what? There is no electric field, no charge inside this conductor body. So that is why this electrical equipment cannot get any additional charges or cannot lose any charge from its own body. So that is corresponding to the shielding. So electrostatic shielding means what? To protect any electrical equipment inside the conductor body just because of the property of conductor body is called electrostatic shielding. Okay, so this is the overall theme of this topic, electrostatic shielding. That means we are doing this kind of thing related to electrical equipments only. Okay, like the case of you know that protection of atom bomb. You know about that atom bomb, that when the two conducting points joins with each other. Here I am taking this just similar case here. This one is the conductor point, and when they join with each other, then the chemical reaction occurs, the nuclear fission process starts. Due to the that chemical reaction, you know that uranium 235 react with the neutron here and nuclear fission start. So that means what? If we place this structure inside a shielding, electrostatic shielding, what will happen? These 2 points are not allowed to connect with each other, so that chemical reaction or nuclear fission process may start. So the electrostatic shielding is required here. Otherwise what will happen? It may come in contact with each other and nuclear fission may occur, and this is very harmful. That you know, all related details we can discuss at any free time, but here that electrostatic shielding is related to these terms, that electrical equipments or any equipments which is related to charges that can be saved inside this cavity. We have to make one cavity and then we can put this electrical equipment inside this cavity. So that method is called shielding, electrostatic shielding. Okay, I hope this point is clear to you. It is just for the information. This is not very much related to the question, not much more question that may be asked in the examination related to this, but you must know the basic concept of what is electrostatic shielding, because the basic concept is related to the electrostatic of conductor, and which is very important. Each and every point, I told 5 points there, and that all 5 points are very important for further topics like the capacitor case. So I hope these 3 topics are clear to you, and next we will discuss topic number 4. Okay, so let's start that last topic, today's last topic, that is basic concept of capacitor. So first of all, basic concept and then capacitor. You know, basic concept, you know, capacitor means what? This is a device which is used in fan. Okay, and this is a storage device. We can say it as a storage device. It stores the charges. So capacitor is a 2-plate system, 2 conducting plate system, in between which dielectric, that is non-conductor body, is filled up. So that is why it is called, it is very useful in our daily life. And one example I want to share you, that whenever you switch off the fan, so what happens in that condition? That fan continues moving even after the switch of the fan. What is the reason behind it? That there is a condenser device, we call it condenser in daily life. So whenever we use condenser or capacitor device in a fan, what happens? That it, because during the electricity on, it stores the charges, and when the electricity off, when we switch off the fan, then in that case it distribute the charge to the circuit. So due to that storage charges, the fan keeps on moving. So this is the basic behind the use of capacitor in fan. And inverter is also on the same concept, and all the electrical devices also on the same concept, that capacitor is used for the storage. It charge during the electricity on and it discharge when the electricity off. Okay, so here we will discuss the case of dielectric. We will consider the case of basic concept of dielectric here. And remember this, dielectric is non-conductor. I told you that in the second point we have discussed electrostatics of conductor and electrostatic shielding, third point, and fourth we are discussing about the basic concept of capacitor. So these are interlinked, these all 3 points are interlinked with the capacitor, because for getting each and every concept of capacitor we must know about the properties of conductor as well as properties of insulator or dielectric. This is non-conductor or insulator or dielectric, all are same thing. So here we are considering about dielectric. So that means what? The basic concept of dielectric. This is the main point which we are considering here in point number 4, topic number 4. So dielectric may be of two kinds. One is polar dielectric and one is non-polar dielectric. Okay, polar dielectric, you can imagine that here if this one is a substance with the polar dielectric, that means initially the atoms are polar in form. Polarity is there with the atom, one is plus polarity, one is minus. This kind. So if the atom, if the substance is polar substance, that means each and every atoms of that substance initially having some polarity, that means positive and negative charges are present there. That means this forms a dielectric, or you can say it as, because it is related to dipole. Dielectric means what? Dual electric. Okay, so it is related to dipole, plus charge and minus charge, and they are forming a dipole here. Non-polar atoms, that means which does not contain any polarity. So here this is non-polar atom, there is no polarity initially. Okay, you know the basic structure of atom, that atom are electrically neutral. So here there is no polarity, like H2 is non-polar atom. Okay, and here NaCl or HCl is polar atom. So you can take the cases, these cases, and so many cases are there. We will discuss it later on related to examples of these kind. First of all, come to the mechanism of this polar and non-polar atom or dielectric. So because you know that initially this is polar, this is non-polar. So polar atom, there is initially a that means dipole moment. You heard about this P, which is known as electric dipole moment. So electric dipole moment is there initially. Initial electric dipole moment is there for different atoms, but because these atoms are randomly present in this substance, so that is why net electric dipole moment is 0. We can draw it in the form of table. I want to explain this topic in the tabular form. First is polar atom, polar dielectric and non-polar dielectric. Okay, and there may be the two cases. You can draw in the similar manner. This will be easier for you to understand. First case, with no external field. You know the basic definition of dielectric. What is basic definition of dielectric? What is dielectric? And afterward polar and non-polar. Now you know that what is polar dielectric and what is non-polar dielectric. So we are taking the two cases. First case is what? No external field. If there is no external field, what will happen? This is a case of polar dielectric, and we have taken a substance where dielectrics are present, but because external field is not present, so these polar atoms are moving randomly here and there inside the dielectric, that you know. So this one is minus, plus, minus, plus, and so on. This forms dipole. So corresponding to it, the dipole moment P is equal to 0. There is no dipole moment. You know that dipole moment is regarding with what? It is related to dipole, electric dipole. So dipole moment, net dielectric dipole moment is 0. Though individual dipole moment is non-zero. Remember this thing? Here no electric field is applied. In this case E is equal to 0. So that is why the dipole moment, net dipole moment is 0, while the individual dipole moment is non-zero. How? If we are talking about individual dipole moment, that means we are talking about single dipoles. So here for the single dipole, the dipole moment is present here. Okay, in this manner. So there is a dipole moment here in this side, dipole moment in this side, in this side. From minus to plus, you know, this is the direction of dipole moment P. Okay, so these are the random dipole moment, and because dipole moment is a vector quantity, it has some particular direction from minus charge to plus charge. So that is why whenever we are talking about the net dipole moment, the each and every dipole moment of individual atom can cancel out the other dipole moment of different some other atoms. So that is why the net dipole moment is coming as 0, while the individual dipole moment is non-zero. So this is the case when the electric field is not applied to polar dielectric. Now consider the case of non-polar. It has no polarity. This is non-polar atom. So electric field is 0, as we have taken the case, no external field. So electric field is 0. So that means what? Here the individual dipole moment is 0 because they do not form any kind of polarity. It is non-polar atom. So they do not form any kind of polarity. If there is no polarity, there is no dipole moment, because it only exists. P is equal to what? Q into 2L. So it only exists when there are plus and minus charge system at dipole length. So that is why the individual dipole moment is 0 and the net dipole moment is also 0. If individual is 0, we will add up all the dipole moment, then it will also come as 0 value. So we can write it in this manner: summation of P. This is equal to 0. Both are same thing. Here we can also write here summation of P, that is equal to 0. So this is the case. You can easily understand the mechanism, what is happening inside the dielectric for the polar case and non-polar case when no external field is applied. Now consider the case of external field applied. Applied field. So when we apply field in the polar atom, what will happen? That first of all, if we apply the field here in this direction, then all the atoms will be arranged in the manner to get the stability, and dipole moment will be aligned in the direction of electric field. You know, now you have to take the case of potential energy, which is equal to minus of PE cos theta. So I have discussed in this lecture number 8 only that PE cos theta, if the theta value is 0, then the potential energy will be with the minus sign, and it is the case of stable equilibrium. So each and every dipole inside the dielectric material wants to attain the stability. So that is why, to attain that stability, the dipole moment will be set in the direction of applied field. So applied field is set here in this direction. So that is why what will happen? All the molecule will be arranged here in this manner. They will be aligned in such a manner that dipole moment minus to plus, it always with the minus to plus sign, minus plus, minus plus, this is minus plus, and so on. So all the dipole moment, individual dipole moment will be aligned here. Okay. and net dipole moment, that means there is non-zero value of individual dipole moment. P is non-zero, it is having some value for the individual dipole, and as well as the sum of all the dipole moment is also non-zero because of the presence of electric field. Electric field apply the force to rotate this dipole in the direction of applied field. Okay, so that is the work of electric field, which it is doing over the dielectric, so that the dipole moment can align in the direction of electric field and they can get stability. This is the case of stability here. Theta should be 0 in between P and E. So this one is the condition here. Now consider the case of non-polar dielectric in the presence of applied field. First of all, applied field is again in the same direction and these are non-polar. So this applied field has to do two work, W1 and W2. First work is regarding with the, it will stretch these atoms. First work is regarding with what? It will, what is the first function of electric field? It will stretch this atom to make this non-polar molecule or atom to a polar molecule or atom. Okay, first of all, that means H2, I have taken the case of H2. So it will stretch the H2 in such a manner that they can get polarity. One may be with the negative polar pole and one may be with the positive pole. So first of all, it has to do two work, negative and positive polarity it has to generate. Here minus and plus, in this manner, minus and plus. Afterward, the second work is what? The electric field will rotate these non-polar atoms which become the polar atom in the presence of applied field in the direction of applied field. That means what? Minus and plus. Then the dipole moment will be in the direction of applied field and they will attain stability. Here minus plus and they will come in this direction. Okay, so you can see here that electric field is doing two work. First, it is making the non-polar atom into polar atom by stretching it. It will create a polarity, positive and negative polarity. You know that an atom or molecule, if we are talking about atom, is made up of plus nucleus and negative electrons. So if the field is applied, the negative electron can create a polarity. It will go to the conduction level and it can create a polarity rather than comes in the attraction force, nuclear force of the nucleus. Basically an atom is neutral, electrically neutral because of the equal plus and minus charge. If the minus charge, that means electron replaces towards the conduction level, then what happens? That in that condition the polarity is generated in the atom. Okay, because minus charge is now moving away from nucleus against the nuclear force. So that is corresponding to the generation of polarity in an atom. Same is the case for the molecule. There is a molecular structure. I will not go very deeply in this structure, in these kind of structure, but there is a molecular structure and polarity can be generated by applying the applied field here. So here the field is applied and that is why the non-polar atom, first of all the non-polar atom become the polar atom and then they all will be aligned in such a manner that dipole moment and electric field may come in the same direction to get the stability. So here now in this case the individual dipole moment, again it will not be 0 and the sum of all the dipole moments, summation of P, that will be equal to non-zero. Both are non-zero. P is non-zero for the individual atom or the individual molecule and summation of all the P's, all the dipole moment, that should also not be equal to 0 because of the presence of applied field. So this happens, this is the mechanism of dielectric when present in the electric field or without electric field. So we have considered the two cases. I hope this mechanism is clear to you and there are so many topics after this too to consider the case. I will discuss today only. So here the next case is related to the some terms which are important here. I want to use that term. First of all, field strength. Okay, this is represented by obviously E. This is electric field which is termed as field strength. So field strength is related to the applied field, due to which a dielectric get stability and having the non-zero net dipole moment. So that is corresponding to field strength. And second term that is related to the same value, same physical quantity, that is breakdown field. Breakdown field. So what is breakdown field? It is again the value of E, which is corresponding to the strength also. That electric field, we can apply a particular value of electric field so that the polarized dipole may not be breakdown. Like you know that the non-polar atom, again they become polar, and the polar atom, these are non-polar. Initially they were like this, that this is the non-polar atom, and they become polar atom in the presence of applied field, and these are polar atom initially which are present in the applied field. So applied field, what it is doing, the applied field is doing some stretching, it is applying some tension over the molecule so that it can stretch and it can create polarity. But there is a limit of stretching. If we stretch a rubber till the maximum limit or more than maximum limit, what will happen? The rubber will break down. Same is the case here. If we apply the electric field beyond the certain value, then what will happen? That the polar or non-polar atom become breakdown, and that situation means what? There will be no existence of dielectric. So that is why the breakdown field is the particular maximum value of applied field after which the dielectric become breakdown. So that is the value of E, that is the definition of applied field, which is corresponding to the breakdown field. And its value, you can note down this point, its value for air is 3 into 10 to the power 6 volt per meter. This is the value of E, breakdown field for air. So if we will apply more amount of electric field in air, then the air will be breakdown. Air particle, air molecule will be breakdown. So that is the condition. Okay, so here now we will discuss some terminology related to this dielectric and basic concept of capacitor. Some term you can note down. First of all, field strength. That is represented by E. So field strength is what? It is related to the value of electric field which is applied over the polar or non-polar dielectric to make it stable. So that is corresponding to field strength. Second term is dielectric strength. So dielectric strength is again E, but it is the maximum value of E. So dielectric strength is the particular maximum value of E after which a dielectric substance become breakdown. That breakdown condition occurs in an dielectric if we apply the value beyond this maximum limit. So that maximum limit of electric field till which a dielectric works without any breakdown is called dielectric strength. So for air, you can write down one example of dielectric strength. For air, the dielectric strength E maximum is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 6 volt per meter. That means what? We can apply this maximum limiting value of electric field 3 into 10 to the power 6 till which air particle do not break. Okay, so that is very important factor. You know the lightning effect. Okay, so this is related to the lightning effect. This particular value of E can be the maximum value till which air particle cannot be splitted into the smaller particles or cannot be broken down. Okay, so that is corresponding to the field strength. Third is polarization vector. It is represented by capital P. The dipole moment, I told it earlier, is represented by small e basically. It is a vector quantity, and polarization vector is a vector quantity, and it must be represented by capital P to differentiate between the two. So polarization vector, basic definition, basic formula for polarization vector is what? The net dipole moment per unit volume is called polarization vector. So you can find out the unit too. For dipole moment, the unit is what? It is Coulomb meter, and for volume meter cube. So you will get this unit as Coulomb meter inverse 2. So this is the unit of polarization vector, and it is the combined form. That means in place of dipole moment, you must use this term polarization vector. Why? Because you know that dielectric is somewhat the dense material. These are very dense material, and we cannot take out each and every individual atom dipole moment. So we need to take the net dipole moment, and corresponding vector quantity we can use as polarization vector. So we will take this quantity only for further definitions and for further terms. So polarization vector is one most important terminology which is used for basic concept of dielectric, and which will be used in electromagnetic wave chapter and related with the Maxwell 4 equations. So you will go through with this. So that is why this is important. You can note down. Afterward, the fourth point is susceptibility. Basically, we need to represent it as electric susceptibility. And this is represented by Xi E. This is the symbol of Xi. Electric susceptibility is the characteristic term of any material. That means what? It depends on the nature of dielectric, which dielectric we are using in between the capacitor plate. So that for that particular dielectric, the Xi changes, varies. So that is regarding with the electric susceptibility, and we can introduce this term in this manner, that polarization vector should be proportional to applied field. You know that if greater the applied field, greater the dipole moment, and corresponding polarization vector is greater. So that is why that polarization vector is directly proportional to applied field E. To remove this proportionality, we must use one constant term, and that constant is related to Xi E into E. So this is the introductory term, that is electric susceptibility, and as I told you that it is a characteristic property of material. It depends on the type of dielectric which we are using in between the capacitor plate. So these are the four basic terms which you need to use in further topics when we will discuss capacitor, as well as we will discuss Maxwell 4 equation. So that's all for today's class, and later on we will discuss the more basic theory and the application of capacitor and the different situation of capacitor which is given in unit 2. Thank you.